great big old state of Texas, Von DePutt here. Probably don't recognize me with my mask on. But I promised Sandra Lett that I would show her how to do this two-part beach pour. So, Sandra, this is for you, and I'll tag you in it. So I'm going to bring you down a little bit. Sorry, I'm working in kind of a odd location here because I have all my other resin all covered up in my tents, as you can see. So I have my pre-mixed resin, and I just put some in here with my sand, and I'm just going to stir that all together with the end of my skewer. And you just do it until you can get the sand the consistency you want. I might have to add more sand to this so it doesn't move around. And this is real Texas sand. Good old dirty Texas sand. Okay, let me scrape the sides. And that's way too runny. I want it so I can get it out and form it, so I'm going to pour some more in. And if you haven't watched my videos before, I normally do paint pouring. I have gotten into resin just mainly to cover some of my favorite wood pieces with resin and some of my other art pieces, but I also make things to sell. Coasters and platters and jewelry, which I started doing a long time ago with my skins. But okay, so if you can, let me come around here so you can see this. Raise it up just a little bit here. See, it's still too runny, so I'm just mixing it until I can get it a consistency where I can't pour it, but that I can just scoop it out and put it in the spot that I want. And what I'm filling today are, they're kind of hard to see because they're white, 2 white square coasters. Ooh, almost needed a bigger cup. Poured too much in to begin with. Get that little piece of grass out of there, throw it in the garbage. As I was telling Sandra, if you do these molds in 2 parts, sometimes 3 if you do a top coat, but so that, because when you pour alcohol ink in on top of like things that you've sorted out, put around your thing like your shells and all that stuff, if you don't do it in 2 parts, your stuff is all going to get mixed in with everything that sinks. Now, the reason I'm mixing the sand right in the resin is because then I don't have to worry about anything on the bottom. The resin will go down, make it nice and clear, and it just makes it sticky so I can put the shells and the starfish on it without them going anywhere when I pour the next set. So, about got this, I think. Well, that still might be just a tad bit soft, and I'm going to run out of sand before I get it where I want it, but that's okay. These are going to have a lot of sand in them. Or I might have to make a third one in a round dish or 2. Let's see, this is the thing about resin. If you overdo it, you can always do a couple more. So that's what I'll do with the leftover sand that I don't use on the first 2. I'll use them on the second 2. My hand's kind of tired from mixing resin for all my other stuff today. Little tiny bit more, which is the end of my sand. Now I like to use real sand, and I do use some purchased sand too, but kind of like the natural look of this. And I'm sorry I'm really sweating. I don't have my other fan on because of the, don't want the dirt and stuff blown around in my resin. So this is a little thinner than I normally do it, but I'll just put some right there. Whoops, and I went right over the side with it. My hands are shaking. I've been doing this all morning, so I'll wipe it off on my baby wipe. Okay. I didn't want to have to pour this, but I don't have enough sand in here to make it any thinner. Or thicker, I mean. Okay, so we just make sure this gets in the corner and on the edges, and then we're going to pull it away from the edge, kind of bring it this way some, because we have to have room to pour over the shells and things. So this is going to be kind of a, actually I think I'll make this into a different kind of coaster than I was planning, just because I poured so much sand in there. And this is thickening up because I've had this poured for about 45 minutes now, which is fine because then it sticks to your shells and stuff better. I'm going to bring this out and up a little more, just so I have more room for the shells and things that I'm going to put on there. Okay. That one's okay. Pour some in here. It's storming outside. I think you can probably hear the thunder. Okay. That in there, spread it out. I hope you can hear me through my mask. I've got I have fumeless resin, but I've been heating it to get the bubbles out, so it does kick up a little bit of smell. Okay. We'll put the last of that right there. Out a little bit. Okay. And baby wipes are a must. It gets the resin off. And then I have this old cotton cloth that I just wipe up any messes with and wipe the resin off my hands. Wipe my hands on this, get the soap off of them. Kind of hard work with them when they're wet. And then also just to clean off anything that you want to clean off that has resin in it. Okay. Kind of tip that way a bit on both of these. And I just threw that in there. I need to get this sand off of here. Okay, give me 1 second. I need to get a Kleenex, wipe my brow since my glasses aren't stopping anything today. Take my glasses off. Sorry, these masks are hot. Whew. Okay. So now I have some shells. These are teeny tiny shells that I got from Amazon. I'm just going to sprinkle a few on here, and on here, on here. And a couple more. Okay, those are all little conch shells. I'll take you up. I'll bring these up and show you in a minute. Let me grab another. Something running in my eye, sorry. Okay, I think the smell's died down enough in here for me to take this off. A minute. Okay, that way I can see what I'm doing and I can talk to you a little better. Okay, so I just scattered some of those shells around. There's some really cool looking ones, and there's some that aren't quite so cool looking. I'm going to cut one of my sticks in half here with my wire cutters so it's not so long, so it's easier for me to use to poke these shells around with. And so just poke them around until you get them set down in the sand where you want them. They don't have to be right side up or upside down, however you want them. They're going to sink in a little bit anyway, but I want to tap them, make sure they're down in there. And then let me show you a little trick here. You can just run this across here. You want to be able to have enough room to pour the resin over them. So you want to make sure that they're down in far enough. Just roll this back and forth. It's a little tip I learned the hard way to do this. Okay, and these are thicker, and I don't put quite so much in them because they are really thick molds, but I still tap these down, make sure they're in there good. Okay, then I have these shells, which are a different type of shell. They're a round flat shell, and so I'll just take a couple of those and sprinkle in there. They've got some different colors, some pinks and some oranges and different colors in them to kind of give you some more colors of the beach. Okay, now these, I kind of like them right side up if I can get them right side up, but they don't have to be. I mean, seashells are seashells, you know, sometimes they're upside down on the beach. And I'm going to turn that one right side up, scrape some of the sand off of it, and get really clean, or a piece of, since how that's all that came out, because I have a brand new box open. Okay, and those are fine. Okay, now I have these little starfish, which I also got on Amazon. Just going to put like 2 in each one. Going to put one at the edge here, hanging over on each one. Still want to push them down so that they're actually pressed into the sand, because if you don't, find the right side up. If you don't, then when you pour your next layer, they will float away. And as Sandra found, they will get covered up by other things. What is that in there? I dropped something. Oh, it's been a piece of seaweed or something that came in that with that starfish. Okay, so I have a big one on each one. Now I'm going to try to find a couple of tiny ones. Teeny tiny ones. Put one there. Put one there. There. I'm running out of these. I've been using a lot of them. Put one there. Okay. Now again, we're going to do the same thing with the stick, just make sure everything's down in there so that we can pour some. That sand's really starting to set up, so that we can pour some resin over them. Okay. And those I know are okay. Okay. So now we have our sand in there and we have our shells in there. We're going to leave this for 6 to 12 hours. For me, I'm just going to leave it till tomorrow morning because it is early afternoon now. I've got to go eat and take some medicine. But I will bring you back when we finish them. Okay, thanks. I'll be back, Sandra. Bye. Okay, I had some resin left over, so I'm going to go ahead and show you something else I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this heart and this octagon into dried flower paperweights. So I filled them about half full. Oh, do this one about half full, more, a little bit more than that. Didn't quite get it half full. Okay, going to use my heat gun. If I can get it over there far enough. Actually, I'm going to bring it around, plug it in on that side. This is my wrong side of my table for this. And I'll plug it in. And go make sure it's plugged in on the other side. Sorry, I wasn't really expecting to do this right now. But you can't waste resin. Do not waste resin. I don't know if I can do that one right now. Okay, I'm also going to do this one. We'll let these sit, get the bubbles to the top, wipe that off, get this around to the corners and the sides. Do a little bit more in here. This will do a little bit more in each of these if I have room. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit in each corner of these. Since how it's so thick, I'm not worried about it pulling the sand away. I just want to get a clear coat down there, which I would have had to do in 3 stages, so I'm going to let that just go that way. In the corner. That way. And in the corners. Okay, good job. Let's see how much more I've got in here I can put in here. Like I said, I hate to waste it. It's not very cheap, is what I was going to say. Okay, I'm going to lay that on my resin mat to dry over here. Going to get a wet wipe, the rest of the wet wipe, to wipe my finger off. And I am going to get the heat gun. Move this one right here next to this one. I have to have it big enough to, far enough apart to, close enough together, excuse me, to get my covers over it. Okay, we're going to get the bubbles out of these first. Don't torch your molds. Please, please don't torch your molds. They'll stick to your resin. Then when you pull your resin out, your resin will tear the molds and you'll ruin your molds. Doesn't matter how cheap or expensive they are. Just don't torch them. Get a small heat gun like this. On low, it won't push your resin around unless it's really deep like these. And it gets the bubbles out. And turn it up on high if you need to heat your mold. Oh, I can tell this mold has some bling in it still. Okay, I'm going to, my granddaughter just brought these over to me, and they're from one of her bouquets from school, and so I'm going to take one that's, let me get some scissors, one that's not the best, because I know she's going to want to pick out the best ones for her thing that we're doing for her. And let's see, how about this one? Well, we'll do this one here too. I'll hang the rest of them up. Okay, with flowers, these are dried. You've got to put them in a little bit sideways. These have a lot of little pockets in them, okay? So if you dip them in the resin, they have to go face down because this is going to be, the bottom is going to be the top when we take it out. So you let that run down in between the leaves, really good. And this is thick, but I'm just going to show you again. Oh, sorry, I'm out of frame. You dip it and then you just let it drip down and then you put it in. And the reason these are only half full is because your flowers will float. I found that out the hard way. Okay, so we'll just stick it in there upside down like that and we'll leave it until tomorrow. Same thing with this one. We're going to do the same thing. I'll get you in frame this time. You dip it in your resin, lift it up, hold it, make sure you hold it over your resin, and you let that run down in between the petals. This gets all the air out from between the petals, and then you don't have air holes, okay, in your resin. And also, if you get a big pocket of air, it can rot your flowers, fresh or especially fresh, so you have to make sure on fresh flowers that you fill them somehow, or you put them in arrangements like I'm going to show you on this one. Well, this one's going to be face down also, but so we let those cure overnight, because if we filled them up with resin right now, what's going to happen? They're going to float because the resin is going to be just like, you know, they're just like wood. If you put a piece of wood in a bottle or can of water, it's going to float. So, let me see if I need to heat these some more, get some more bubbles out. Okay, shouldn't need to heat anymore. Take that off. Whew, okay. Now I have some naturally dried flowers here that you can buy on Amazon, and there's sheets of them in here. And I'm going to make a little arrangement in this, which is going to end up being a window ornament. But I'm going to take my gloves off because I'm just going to use my stick to put them where I want them, which I'm just going to try to lay them on the back of this as close to possible, because I will put a top coat on this then. Let me see if I can get these out. Okay. And these are layered in here, so I'm just going to lay one there. And some baby's breath there. And another flower there. Ooh, that had some baby's breath hooked to it. Okay, let me see if I can do this the other way so I can get a couple of leaves. So I'm just going to, I think I'm going to put this whole stem in here, like that. And I forgot to turn it upside down, but oh well. I'm doing this to make sure that there's no bubbles. Especially on the flowers. But the leaves also, little bubbles will hide under there. Okay. And let me see if I can get a little more baby's breath to put in there. Maybe right there. Okay. And I'm going to leave that as is. Oh no, dropping flowers everywhere, everywhere. It's so much easier to get them this way than it is to get them. You know what? I think I might. No, I better not. I'll put that in there. It looks like a little flower on its own. It's a little bottom off of the daisy. And maybe I will put this flower in here. Let me move this over a little bit. And I'm going to make it the main stem for this star flower. There. Okay, same trick. Make sure nothing's sticking up. Nothing is. I'm going to put these back over here out of the way. And I'll pick this up and show it to you. So this is it upside down. Whoops. Ah! It's going to run out. No! Okay, this resin's thick, but it's not that thick. Okay, so we'll undo that one, or we'll pour some over the back of that one tomorrow, because I want to put some color behind it, and I don't want it to go down and dye the flowers. That's why I'm not putting any color in anything tonight, because it will dye stuff and mix in, because it has a reaction with the resin. So I will be back tomorrow. This time I'm positive. Bye. Okay, I'm back. It's been 24 hours And I just poured some more on this little piece here. I'm going to try to bring you down a little closer so you can see. Oh, let's see if I can get you so you can see everything. Okay, I just poured this one, which has a rose in it. It's a redo. I'm going to just pop some bubbles real fast. And the same with these two. I'm just going to pop the bubbles on them and this. Okay. Now I'm going to put some alcohol ink in this one. And I've got some new white here I haven't opened yet. If I can get it open with these slippery gloves on. Okay. Gloves are coming off for a minute. It's too hot anyway. Hear my dog, my granddaughter's dog, barking. Okay, that's good enough for now. Whoa, got some on my finger. Wipe that off. Okay, I'm going to put some little drops of blue and red behind these flowers. Now, I do have a layer that the flowers are in that's solid. Excuse me. So, these are going to be colors, but they're not going to show through. Oh, I'm not putting white in this. What am I thinking? This is going to be a clear one for my window in my kitchen. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat this morning. Okay, get that on there. And a couple of red spots. And where the red and the blue touch, of course, it'll turn into kind of a purple color, which is fine with me. Okay. Now I'm just going to take the end of a skewer and just kind of do a little line through here. Not to muddy it too much, but just to blend the colors a little towards the edges. Of course, it's all going to pull back into the center as alcohol inks do. It won't so much without the white in it, but we'll see how that looks tomorrow. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me 1 minute. Take her home, Kinley. Take her home. Okay, sorry. The housekeepers are here and the kids' dogs won't let her in. Okay, so I'm going to put my lid right back on my white. Okay, now to finish these, you can see how they look this morning. Nice and dry. Clear up here. The sand is dry. Everything's set really good in them. Same with these. There's no clear up here, just the sand. So, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get whatever this is in my cup out. And I'm going to top off these two after I get some more of the bubbles out. Okay, just got to put a few drops in each one. Okay, there we go, those are done. Okay. Now, I'm going to mix, no, I don't want alcohol ink in there. I'm going to put some of this dry turquoise, which is from Island Micas and More. It's mica powder. I'm going to put a little bit of that in here just to make my blue water. Because I'm not going to do anything but blue water on these. So this is the best mica powder, I'm telling you. Thank you, Sam. It's really good stuff. For making it really good stuff. Okay, I'm just going to blend this in. Want this to be fairly, well, completely see-through. So it's just making a nice blue color. You'll have to excuse the noise in the house now. Okay, that's not quite as blue as I want it, so I'm going to put just a tiny bit more in there. Oh, no, that's way too much. Okay, hope it's not too dark now. It's quite a bit of resin though, so, well, it's about a half a cup. A little more than a half a cup. Just make sure you have your micas mixed really, really, really well. And then I'll zap the bubbles out of here. Okay, that's about right for my Caribbean blue water. Okay, I'm going to wipe this off. So I can use it again. I'm going to zap these bubbles. Well, some of them at least. And as yesterday, these are the last things I'm doing after doing my whole table, so this is the end of 2 cups. I'm going to start with this one. Just going to pour it right in the middle. Now I'm going to use my skewer again. I'm going to make sure there's no bubbles in the corners. Make sure this goes to all the corners and is covering the shells. Okay. Do this next one.